Hi, guys. Welcome back to Our Non-Toxic Podcast. I am Hannah, and I am here with Hailey.
Hello, hello.
I would love to give you a little introduction, and then I have some questions for you.
Okay, perfect.
So here's how I know Hailey. We met on the American Cancer Society board where we're doing a just amazing nonprofit event. You do so many things in the community. I've known who you are for a long time.
Yeah.
I've actually been in your home. I don't know if you know this.
What?
Because I was shooting content for Ashley for 4 and 7 Devour.
Oh, yes.
And you have a lovely home.
Oh, thank you so much.
Lovely home. Very beautiful.
I do remember that now,
What
actually.
a time to announce that I've been in your living room.
Oh my
You have
gosh, I totally forgot about that.
Oh, it's fantastic. You have an immaculate taste in decor. I would love
much.
links to everything you buy. But
Well, a lot of my mother-in-law.
oh, I love
all
that.
of her hand-me-downs. She's like, "Do you want
Yes.
these pillows?" I'm like, "Yes, thanks."
Don't
Amy."
ask anymore.
Yeah, just bring them over. Yeah,
Send a truck.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Give me the rundown of you, who you are, and then we'll dive into all of that more specifically.
Yeah. So, Hailey Kolstad. I work for a software technology company called Next Level Solutions. We're decently new. We will turn 6 in July. So yeah,
That's
What else?
amazing.
I mean, what else
How
am I
long have you
gonna-
worked there?
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Longer
I'll
than-
celebrate 4 in next month, actually.
Hopefully they throw you a big party.
Yeah.
We'll drop some hints.
Just for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so I like to do a little fun thing.
Yeah.
First of all, I have a couple things that I just need to address in general.
Yeah.
One, I wanted to go for a natural makeup look today. I don't know if you could tell, but I did not do that. Do you ever have those times where you just get super carried away and you
I thought
You keep
when
blending
the
and-
way my mind immediately went I was like, I love the eyelashes, but I'm not sure that the lips are natural.
you said, honey, who told you that was
It's
natural?
beautiful.
Thank you.
And your hair though. So like
Well-
you have like a sleek hair so you can do the fun makeup.
I was thinking there must be some kind of fashion rule that tells me this is okay, but I just got carried away. Like I was doing my makeup and yesterday I went super light with it and I was going on that same track today, like no mascara, no eye makeup or anything,
Yeah.
just like, you know, sun-kissed, whatever,
Yeah.
bronzy. And then today, next thing I know, I'm like blending out like a smoky eye and I have no idea. I was just
amazing.
watching YouTube and I had too much time, I guess, to get ready. So
I love that you play with your makeup though, because
you.
like I am a creature of habit. Like if it ain't broke, why fix it? I have literally not changed a single thing about my makeup routine since I was like in 6th grade.
well, like you said, if it ain't broke, I always just think mine is broke. So if I ever got to a point where I think it's amazing, but then I think that was great, but what could be better?
Yeah.
What else could I do?
Good for you for trying.
Well, thank you. I think it would also change if I was out in public every day, but I
Yeah.
have split work from home days and out days. So whenever I
Yeah.
work from home, I just look like Shaun White most of the time. So whenever I get to leave the house, I really have to like
Yeah, you're like,
doll myself up.
Yeah.
So then today,
Society.
exactly. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I look like that sometimes, which is great. It's like a disguise almost. And getting into character just helps me like socialize better.
Yeah.
But today I blend everything out and I'm like, okay, this looks half done. So I had to put the strip lash on and now I'm like, okay, I work from home today.
Yeah.
I am doing this and I'm working from home. So I felt a little ridiculous doing all of that.
That's okay.
And I also feel like the black swan with like the slicked back bun. So I just wanted to address it because every time I feel like I look a little odd on the podcast, I just have to say something. So no one else can say anything because I said it first.
You said it first. Yeah.
So no one can make a comment. I know. Also, these garage sale pants were $1.
Listen, we were just talking about it. Hate spending money on clothes.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I
for
tore
you.
it up at a garage sale. Do you ever garage sale?
No, I haven't. It's not that
Okay.
I don't wouldn't
Right.
love it. I just,
Yeah.
haven't.
It's an art.
Yeah.
Some people don't like it.
Because the next garage sale was last weekend.
It
yeah?
was last weekend,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I went to town. I didn't even get as much shopping done as I wanted to because my parents' dog ended up getting sick.
Oh, shame.
Yeah, which is not good. So that's the other thing I wanted to address that no one really cares about. But I was dog sitting, and you have 2 dogs, 2 big dogs.
Yes.
Or one big,
Well,
one small.
I mean, one's just lower to the ground. Also big.
But girthy.
Yes.
Okay.
Very girthy.
Okay.
So Winston's the bulldog, 70 pounds. Clark is the Great
Wow.
Dane, 130 pounds.
So yeah, it's not slight.
Both large,
Yeah.
just in 2 different ways.
It would take a lot to slow them down if they get going.
Yeah,
It
he's
makes
a
sense.
bowling ball.
How many like dents do you say you have in your house on different surfaces?
You know, thankfully, Clark doesn't have a tail anymore. We
Okay.
had to amputate his tail a couple years ago, which he's special.
Okay. Yeah.
And so,
makes sense.
but really, I mean, Winston's just kind of like, he kind of just like lays there, but when they start going at it,
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a dog because I like to just be a free spirit and just
love that
not
for
come
you.
home. So that's good.
Yeah.
Not have to worry about getting a sitter or anything. But my parents
Yeah.
left town to go spend Mother's Day weekend with my other sibling, my
Okay.
brother.
Yes.
So I was dog sitting and my husband's also gone. So I was just like all by myself this weekend, which is a dream usually.
Yeah.
Until I got home from garage selling. My grandma and I went out for Mother's Day. hit like 40 houses. I spent, I think, $37.
That's amazing.
Crazy. I got so much stuff. I filmed a haul, but the lighting is all weird and I'm being a perfectionist about it. So no one really cares about it, but I do.
It's not that
So I haven't
deep.
posted it. It's literally not that. No one cares at all. People are going to see it, watch 3 seconds and scroll. But for me, who probably watches my own content the most, it has to look better. So I get home and the dog has like had an accident all over her kennel. I take her outside and then she's pooping blood all over the backyard.
Oh,
So I freaked out and I called the
no.
vet, took the dog into the vet and everything. And this was, I got her taken to my house right after the storms, like that
Okay.
evening.
Yeah.
And come to find out, after all this blood work, this $200 vet bill,
Yeah.
everything else, she just had a little anxiety.
Yeah.
And they said that this is pretty common with puppies because their stomachs are not very strong. So they can like easily get affected by these things. But the combination of my parents leaving and then the storm the night before had just given her a little bit too much stress. And there had been 2 other dogs that had also been in with the same issue.
Oh my gosh.
It's also common in poodles, which is what she is.
Oh,
And
okay.
the way I felt so betrayed whenever they said, oh, she's just a little stressed. That dog slept in my bed. I was
Yeah.
spooning her the whole night.
Yeah.
Like I had been giving her so much love and attention. I only put her in the kennel for like maybe an hour as I went garage sale. Like that was it.
It's just
It
too
was-
much.
You're telling me this dog is
Just too
stressed?
much. Yeah.
I don't know. You get it. You're a dog mom.
Well, Clark just a couple weeks ago, like all of a sudden, like was like limping and crying and shaking, and I like started sobbing because we lost our last Great Dane like very traumatically, like all of a sudden, and he had broken his collar or his shoulder blade, and come to find out it was bone cancer. So when Clark like all of a sudden couldn't do it, I was just like, oh, here we
what's
are
wrong
again.
with him?
Here we are.
Yeah.
And I made Kevin come home. He was like a poker game. I was like, you got to come home. Something's wrong with Clark. Go to the vet the next day, and the vet, Clark does not like the female vet because that's the one who amputated his tail.
Yeah.
And so
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, he takes it very
Nope.
doesn't take treats from her, like takes it very personally.
He holds a grudge.
He does. And so she just kind of told me, she goes, you know, I think he's maybe just tweaked his elbow a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know I don't think it's as bad as he's making it like seem. And I'm just like,
So you're telling me he's lying? My baby?
yeah, he's hurt. And so Kevin's like fully convinced that he was faking it. I'm like, there's no way he was faking. I mean,
Right. You're like, how would he know to fake it? What do you think he thinks he's going to get from this?
he's just a big baby.
Yeah, maybe
so
wanted
he
the
just like
attention.
wants me to like be home and
Yeah.
snuggle, and
I don't blame him.
we literally share a pillow. So he sleeps
Yeah.
under the covers.
Aw.
We share a pillow. Wonder why I have neck problems.
Yeah,
but
I can see that after
he's a
just one
sweet
weekend
boy.
sharing a bed with the dog.
Yeah,
So,
he's
but
a
that's
sweet boy.
he's a mama's boy.
Yeah,
That's
he
okay.
is. So yes, the anxiety after
it's real.
1 hour in the kennel, it's just too much.
It's
the
too much.
audacity. Of
And
it.
I just took it too personally, I think. Because I was like, I thought you were having fun with me. I thought this was
Yeah.
like summer camp for you. And
This
I'm trying to
is a
make
me
it
problem?
special. Yeah. So then I was talking to the vet, like, do you think it's something I'm doing? And she's
Yeah.
like, no, I think it's just the breed and probably the
Yeah.
storms. But,
Yeah.
you
Oh my
know,
gosh.
she's trying to get to her other patients. And I'm like trying to get therapy from the vet. So, and then I had to give her pills twice a day. And
Yes.
sprinkle probiotic mix on her food.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I texted my parents and said, you are going to owe me for this one.
Yeah.
So, and then my brother gets my mom like $4 flowers from the drugstore, and they're like, best kid ever. They didn't. They were very appreciative, but still,
Yeah.
you know how siblings can just get like
Oh,
they get everything.
Yep.
But, okay, the deep questions.
Yeah.
We need a report from you. What
Yes.
are you reading, eating, playing, obsessing, treating, and recommending?
Okay.
I flipped the last two, but no one cares. First, what are you reading?
You know what's so funny? So when you sent me that earlier, I was like, oh my gosh, I love to read, but only I am a vacation reader.
Okay. Makes
And then
sense.
like
You're
every
not
single
alone.
time I go on a vacation, it like kickstarts it again.
Yes.
And I haven't been anywhere since December. And so
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
read since December.
That sounds crazy, but I completely understand that. It wasn't until this past year that I got really into reading like
Yeah.
in the between stages.
I just have a really hard time like disassociating
Yeah.
with the world around me to like sit down and read my Kindle.
Makes sense.
But
We'll unpack that later.
Yeah, yes, we will.
Okay.
But I was going to say when I was like, well, then I can just like recommend a book then
Yeah,
for this.
of
So
course.
my favorite book that I've read like in this last like year is Every Summer After.
I've
10
heard
out of
that's
10.
from so many people.
10 out of 10.
Okay.
I picked it up in St. Martin. Like it was like at the house we were staying at, like someone had left it behind because I had like blown through the book that I
Right.
had read. And I was like, well, what am I going to read the rest of the time we're here? And I like
That's
the way
amazing.
I like went on this emotional like love and sad and
Yeah.
happy. I mean, it was
Is that your favorite genre? Would it be like romance or drama?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I love
for
those
sure.
too. I love
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
But I love mysteries, but sometimes they leave you with that like impending sense of
Yeah,
doom.
yeah.
So I have to mix them up a little bit. And I
Yeah.
love a good light read, especially like light TV, light reads. It doesn't have to be serious.
I can't do serious. I can't even do like boxing movies or
Yeah.
like too
Oh,
much
really?
for me. No, like I just can't handle the stress of it all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, So all the time I'm like, this is scary.
Yeah.
Kevin was watching Dune the other night, the new Dune.
Yeah.
And I was like,
he said, turn it off.
and I was like, this looks like a scary movie. I'm going back inside. He's like, it's not scary, Hailey.
It is
like,
intense though. Yeah.
It's intense. And I'm like, anything that gets my heart rate up like that, I'm good.
I respect you for respecting your own boundaries though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I feel that way with TV shows. Every time we go to pick our like couples show that we're both watching at the same time, Austin wants to go for like Breaking Bad, like just like the most intense, serious, dramatic shows. And I like to have something that's more just low stress, easy to unwind, like zone out in. If I'm on my phone half the time, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
We're just
it's not
coming down from the day.
Exactly.
Me with the least stressful job doing social media.
Stop.
But still, you know, you just want to have something where you can like chill and all of that. So that's a good recommendation.
Yeah.
What are you eating? Like what's your snack or your go-to meal these days? Or restaurant?
Oh, well, you know, I can always go with the Spring Creek Tea Room.
Always,
forever and always. Even though I worked there for 12 years, I would still eat it every single day if I could.
I'm in the shrub.
You are in the tree. It's your bun. Your bun is like
fun. It's
you're
okay.
one with nature.
Yeah, if we had a production assistant, this wouldn't happen. Anyways,
so restaurant is definitely will forever and always be Spring Creek Tea Room.
That.
But I eat.
That's Ozark.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. But I eat genuinely like Kevin just wants like a protein and rice every single night for supper. And it's like, that's what he gets excited about. Yeah. So I do chicken and I have like the same routine. I do chicken in the air fryer for me because I can't have red meat. Oh. And I do literally our little rice cooker that I got at Hy-Vee.
This
like
is
3
exactly
years
like
ago.
our dinner.
For $20 is the most used appliance in our whole entire kitchen. And I do Brussels sprouts and mushrooms in the oven.
I love
every
that.
single night.
I do want the recipe for the Brussels sprouts and the mushrooms because I've never done Brussels sprouts that don't stink up the entire house and taste not good.
Oh yeah.
But I'm on a journey.
Yeah. So, I love Brussels sprouts.
I think have you had Aviary's Brussels sprouts?
No, I have not.
Oh my gosh, they're crispy. Oh. They're not like I wouldn't say they're on the healthier end, but they're like the leaves are perfectly brown and crispy. They have blue cheese on them. They have little like craisins, I think.
Oh yeah,
onions.
I'd be into that.
It's amazing. It's so olive oil, salt. Like I could eat a whole pan by myself, and they're healthy. Like
big serving. Oh yeah. Oh, I like that because they also reheat really well.
Oh,
Brussels sprouts do. Just like a little like in the air fryer situation. We don't have a microwave, and so if we need to reheat anything, it's like stovetop or air fryer. But yeah.
Wow.
I have been putting hot honey on my vegetables.
Love hot honey
lately, and that's so good. But yeah, so
I'm obsessed with all of those things, and I feel so seen because we use the rice cooker every single day.
Yeah. And action.
Woo. See. Love life.
You know it's real.
You know it's real. It's authentic.
It's so real.
It's not scripted.
You get what you get. You don't throw a fit.
I know. Oh, I do throw a fit. I feel worse when there's a guest. If it's just me, I'm always like, I'm wasting my own time. But I hate whenever there's someone here and I'm like, I'm running out of storage. Are you serious?
You're good.
Anyways, let's take a detour and talk about your coffee because I'm blown away.
My black coffee.
Yes. I texted you this morning and said Urban Grounds order.
Yes.
Of course, love language. Everyone needs coffee.
Yes.
And note that I do have a sweet note from Hannah, the barista, because I love her. And you did not want anything.
I didn't, no.
Explain what we've got going on here.
So
I love the color coordination, by the way, with the mug.
Okay. I also have a fun thing with mugs. So I collect the You Are Here mugs from the Starbucks things.
Fantastic.
I love that they stack so well. So many people's mugs,
True.
you know,
They'll
cabinets
topple.
are a disaster.
Mine.
Kevin's, because I make him keep his in a different spot.
Makes sense, yes.
And so I have so many of them now that I have a routine. I take from one side of the cabinet and I put back on the other. So I'm constantly rotating through all my cups.
That's fantastic.
It's a different cup every day and there's no rhyme or reason.
I love that.
There's a little part of me that loves when happenstance my cup matches my outfit of the day.
It's
like
perfect,
so often, like I'll be wearing green and my mug will be green, but it's just literally happenstance.
It's like it sets your day up for just sheer bliss, like perfection.
Yes, exactly.
It's going to be a great day.
It's exciting too to like every single mug is different. So I always think about like where I
that.
was at that day or
I
like
do the same
when
thing.
I was, so it's sweet. But yeah, so I drink black coffee.
I love that.
Every day.
We've got, what do we have today? What is from?
Nespresso is, the mug, sorry, Florida.
Florida?
Florida is yep, we went there on a family vacations with Kevin's family.
Fantastic.
A couple years ago is when I snagged that one. But black coffee every day, Nespresso.
I love Nespresso.
Oh my gosh. They make the best coffee.
I never understood what the hype was. I thought it's just more expensive Keurig.
No.
I could not be more wrong.
It's night and day.
It's amazing. It's like the flavor, and I'm not even a coffee enthusiast.
And the froth on the top on.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it's not watery. It's just like this rich flavor. I don't care how much I'm paying for it. Like, what does it boil down to? If you get it on Amazon, it's like
I get it auto shipped from
Nespresso.
Nespresso.
I need to.
Yeah, and so I do the vanilla, and there's like it's called like I don't know, it's their vitamin one. So it has like 25% of your daily B12 in 1 cup of coffee.
I gotta get on that.
And so
That's amazing.
And then the peppermint's my favorite.
Okay.
And it only comes out at Christmas. And I spend like $300 on peppermint coffee.
Stock up.
And I like sprinkle it through my year. And so like today.
Rationing. Like you're on the Oregon Trail.
I do. Yeah. So I keep it underneath because I have like the little, like the drawer for the rest of them.
Of course.
My peppermint does not go in the drawer. It goes underneath. And every once in a while, like this morning, I was like, oh, I'm going to have a peppermint one to treat myself.
Yeah, I love that. Treat yourself Wednesday. That's amazing.
I told Hannah no to Urban Ground. So I'm going to treat myself with the peppermint pod.
I respect it. I do. Like I said, I respect you for not having a crippling caffeine addiction.
Yeah.
I've cut back. Now I only treat myself to a coffee whenever I am like working out of the house. So if I'm exiting, there was a time where I would like leave, get the coffee and bring it back home.
Yeah.
Since I got the Nespresso, that hasn't really been a thing because the Nespresso coffee is just as good. But I just love Urban Grounds. And I love to, show some support. Me saying I'm supporting the economy like it's a good deed. It's just me wanting a coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. Going back to the report. What are you playing? That can be a TV show. It can be music. It can be a podcast, whatever.
So funny. So I don't listen to music in the car. I am also hate driving. So like usually like I'm not in the car for more than like 8 minutes.
You're like minimizing it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And anytime I can be a passenger princess, I will inconvenience anyone to come pick me up so I don't have to drive.
Love that.
No shame in my game. But we're going to the Morgan Wallen concert next weekend. And so I have been playing the Morgan Wallen set list soundtrack or like playlist on Apple Music just to make sure that I like,
nice and ready.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. I'm almost too excited. So I haven't been listening because I'm like, I need to hear it like for the first time again. Yeah. So I've been like abstaining from listening to any of his stuff because I love him so much. We saw him forever ago when he came to JQH and opened for Jason Aldean.
Okay.
So amazing. And he was like the best concert I've ever been to. And he was just the opener back then. And I want to go back for so long. And we've just had like things have fallen through or we've like missed the deadline or things have sold out.
And it's so expensive.
I'm like, do you want to remortgage the house to this concert? And then
take a HELOC out.
Literally, I'm like, these were pretty good. Like, they're so expensive, but I'm like, they're still for him. Way better.
A bargain.
In Branson.
Yeah.
I don't have an outfit yet. But
I don't either. I was literally just talking about this with some girlfriends yesterday. They're like, what are you wearing? I'm like, oh, I haven't even thought about it.
I don't know. Game time decision. It depends on the weather. It depends on like what my hair is doing, what my tan. I don't know.
Literally.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
What my soul is feeling. Yeah. But I can't wait. That's really noble. And I'm so excited. We'll have to hunt each other down through the crowd.
I know. Because are you in seats or did you guys get?
I think we're in seats.
Okay. Yeah. So we're on the hill.
Last time.
Gin Pop.
Last time we were in the dirt, like on the side of the seats. And that was good too, but you have to bring a blanket and everything. And then it just gets trampled. Yeah. But I think that we're in seats this time.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check.
Yeah. The Blazers are in seats. Janet's in seats.
Oh, I'll hunt her down too.
Yeah.
I'll be shouting.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you obsessing over these days? Anything? Or do you not have an obsessive personality?
I don't have, not an obsessive personality. It's funny. I was thinking about it again this morning because yesterday I was like, I don't really know but I switched my hair products and I am loving them.
Okay.
And I've
walking testimonial.
Well, I got new hair. Got my new weave installed last week.
Love it.
No shame.
It's amazing. It looks gorgeous.
And so, but for the longest time I was like anti-Amika because I tried their hair products in probably high school and I tried their purple shampoo and I hated it. And so ever since then I'm like, Amika's trash. Trash. Well, my girlfriend is a hairdresser, and so we go to Salon Service Group to buy hair products, 50% off. It's amazing. I'm like not afraid to use that. For
no
her.
Gatekeeping.
Yeah, I was like,
amazing.
Thank you so much for becoming a hairdresser, so I can use your discount.
So hairstylists like don't ask to be my friend for this.
Yeah,
reason.
literally. Yeah, no, you do not get the discount.
No.
But they were out of something, so I was like, oh, I really liked the IGK heat protectant, and then I didn't have it there, so I was like, oh, I'll try the Amika one. And so, but literally in the last probably month, I've switched to Amika shampoo, heat protectant, dry shampoo, and hairspray.
That is a
big fan.
Yeah, a raving testimonial. Well, your hair is looking amazing. I know you just got it done, but it looks incredible.
Thanks. And I also washed it this morning just for you.
Oh, you are a far cry from me. I have rained on hair. I got caught in the rain on a run yesterday, and it was like at that point where I had already blocked out the schedule and I couldn't do it any other time, so I just had to keep going. And then it was in a slick back bun, and I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna rock this one more day.
No, that's literally
Call it hair training. What is the trend? Yeah, it's okay, but we're gonna slick it back. I'm trying to do like a less heat summer.
Okay,
lower the heat. Yeah, but I don't know if I'm gonna commit to all the time. I'm definitely gonna blow it out later. But because I'm tired of it being curly and messy. But I'm doing fewer heat treatments.
Have you tried the heatless curls? The ones that you look absolutely redonkulous doing. Yes. You look like a founding father.
You literally you do. It's not a good look.
Call me George Washington.
If you ever want to get made fun of by your husband, you just have to put those in, and that's like the fastest way to do it. But not that Austin needs an excuse.
Yeah.
But you're 1,000% correct. It's just that you have to have your hair like 50% dry for them to work if you have any sort of like thick or coarse hair.
Okay.
Because I've tried to do it with wet hair. Like you brush your hair
So
out.
I've heard don't do it. They're like, don't follow the back on the instructions. Like, don't do it wet at all. Like, blow dry your hair and then do it.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I've done it like halfway where I'll like let my hair air dry to an extent and then rebrush it.
Yeah.
Like put a conditioner or something in it and then curl them and then sleep on that. And that works fine. But the only thing I don't like is that it makes the back of my head like oddly flat because you split it to curl them. So that, I don't know, maybe that's just
I need to
operator
send you, you know who Ashley West is on Instagram? Her tutorial is great. So she does like a Velcro roller here and a Velcro roller here and then puts it through the front Velcro roller so you don't have that flat spot.
Oh, I need it to be really like remedial. Like,
it's
like 6th grade.
It's very easy.
Understand.
Because I'm, like I said, I don't change things.
I'll take your word. I'll do it. I'll try it.
I'll send you the
Would
reel.
appreciate. That would be fantastic. Yes, give me all the resources.
Give it the old college try.
I would
One more
love
time.
that. I will do it, and then if it fails, I will never try it again.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
you tried. You gave it the old college try.
If at first you don't succeed, never speak of it. Never try again. That's my philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay, I do love that. That's fantastic. I need to get better with my hair game because I have the most amazing hairstylist, and I have the access to all her advice and wisdom and products.
Yeah.
I just don't take it, and I should.
Yeah.
But I have not. So
That's okay.
Sorry, Michaela. I love you so much. What are you recommending besides the books?
Oof.
It can be literally anything. It can just be get some sunshine.
Yes. We were just talking about that.
Oh yeah. No seasonal depression here.
No.
We're getting outside.
We're getting outside. We're in the deficit right now. The more sun. Yeah. So
if the scattered showers would stop scattered showering, I think we could probably get further away from it.
Miserable.
But would it rain 8 different times?
And every single time it rained, it like opened up.
And it was not like, oh, here it comes from the distance. I can hear it.
It's like there.
Yeah, clouds open up. It's dumping on you.
I selfishly was a little happy because Kevin was supposed to play golf. He's like in a men's league on Tuesday and he doesn't get home till like 8:30. Yeah. And I was like, oh, darn.
You said, oh, what a shame we have to hang out.
Yeah, I hate that.
You like put away your rain dance stuff, like your voodoo materials. You're like, that's so weird. I don't know why that happened.
Yeah.
No, Austin still went golfing. He walked.
Well, he played yesterday. So he went out earlier because you know, the men's league wasn't enough golf. 'Tis the season. Of course not. Golf wives unite, literally. And so he was playing and then he's like, it's really not that bad out here. I don't know why. And I'm like, well, cart path only, you know, the whole 9 yards. But
Oh, Austin he just walked and he was like, oh, we got rain in like 4 different times. I don't know. So I guess if you love golf that much, it's not that big of an issue.
It's interesting.
Golf is the pull of golf is something different. I don't quite understand it. I respect it, but I do understand.
I love watching it. I just can't.
Oh, I don't understand it enough to watch it.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
I like the fashion. I love to dress Austin. If I find a new golf shirt, I'm snagging it. I'll overpay all day long. I love golf fashion.
I love that.
Okay. Next, what are you treating yourself to besides black coffee?
Ooh. I will say I got a really fun bottle of wine the other day. And I have my go-to wine is like $9.
Amazing.
And the other day,
the people's princess,
literally. And I'm like, I know what I'm getting. I can get it at Sam's Club, and I'm not going to buy it at Price Cutter because it's $14 at Price Cutter. And I know I can get it for $9 at Sam's Club. And I don't feel bad for like opening it on Tuesday night, and you know, or
when it's not aged. It's not like
or when we like finish a bottle, I'm like, oh, I want one more glass. Like I just crack that one open. It's good. It's consistent. The whole 9 yards. But we have lately, I've been into bubbles more. And so like once a week, we'll just like buy a bottle of Vouv, which is like not $9. It's not super expensive because Sam's Club also has it. Big Sam's Club girly. And so, yeah, that's kind of been my little weekly
It's fun. It's like celebrating
splurge.
life.
Literally.
I love it.
Yeah.
And it's lighter for spring. It's nice. Is it still spring? It doesn't matter.
It's fine.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Love all of those. Bonus question. I think this gives us the most insight into your life and soul and who you are as a person. Who is your celebrity crush? And you can name more than one if you want to.
Okay. So the way I all of a sudden I was like, what are celebrities' names?
Like I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Where are they from?
Yeah.
What do they do?
I don't know why. I probably haven't like watched him forever, but what was the Netflix show? Is it his name like Noah? He's like a little bit beefier.
Centineo? Was he like olive
young,
skin, dark hair?
Yes, yeah. And I just am so bad with names like that.
This is one thing I'll get a celebrity every time.
I love that.
I'm
for
too
you.
into pop culture.
It's so impressive.
It's not. It's embarrassing.
So yesterday I was talking to a girlfriend about it. She goes, well, you can talk about how everyone's canceling celebrities because of the Met Gala thing. And I was like, I hate cancel culture though.
I know.
So
well, I feel bad because they're just doing their jobs. I mean, I know it's like, you know, eat the rich. There's celebrities that doesn't, we don't have to feel empathy for them.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're still doing their jobs. Like
Correct.
if somebody was coming to me and being like, you're canceled because you're doing your job and carrying on like normal. I'm like, I got bills to
You're
pay.
creating Instagram reels.
I got
you're
stuff
too trendy.
too. Yeah, I know. It's so difficult. And I think I mean, I'm not one to get on a high horse anyways, but I think that's just a hard thing to do.
I mean, it's
just
still
doing
a
what they're supposed
job.
to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, everyone has a role in this world and takes all kinds of kinds to make the world go round.
Exactly.
And so,
I mean, it provides a bit of escapism for the rest of the world too, where you can look at that and, you know, ethics aside, I'm sure that there are a lot of arguments that I'm just not qualified to have. But I'm like, if it gives people an escape for a little bit, then it's such a bad thing.
Exactly.
So that's how I feel about movies and TV and
well, it's very impressive. Because I mean, the people that can just like spout people off, they're like, so and so is in that movie. I'm like, can I see a picture? Yeah.
You like pull up an IMDb if you could.
Literally,
I don't know why. I just love like behind the scenes and everything. Yeah. So I'm always like, oh, do you know who directed this? It's not necessary. It's not useful.
Yeah.
I just am so fascinated by everything. So I love to know.
Well, it's impressive.
Thank you.
Just so you know.
Thank you.
It's not wasted.
Well, that's arguable, but I appreciate it. Well, Noah Centineo, that's a solid option.
Yes.
Has that been your long-term one, or is that just okay?
I like when like that was like the first one that like came to mind. I'm like, oh, he's cute.
Who is Kevin's celebrity crush? Do you know?
Ooh, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I should know the answer to that.
Austin and I have this conversation a lot, usually because I bring it up. So. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
He's been on Sabrina Carpenter, not TikTok because he's not on TikTok.
She's beautiful.
She's so cute and she's so creative. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
She's fabulous. But every time he's like scrolling YouTube shorts or whatever he scrolls, then like it's video games, golf, cooking, golf, Sabrina Carpenter. Yeah. And I'm like, why did this keep popping up? Yeah. And he's like, I don't know. And then he's like, well, her outros are so creative. I said, yeah.
Okay.
They're so creative. Yeah. You love her lyrics. You love her
you
creative
really
passion
with him.
I said, what's the name of the song that she does the out? He doesn't know.
Yeah.
That's okay. No shame.
It's too funny.
I mean, my TikTok is like thirst trap. It's
well, I had to explain to Kevin like why certain things were, he thought like the For You page on his Instagram was like
unrelated to him.
Everyone's was the same. I was like, no, friend. Yeah. They're on there because that's what you're watching.
Bless your heart. Yeah. That's so sweet.
And I was like, look at my For You page. And it's like dogs, raccoons.
Yeah.
And his is like workout and golf, man stuff.
Meat things, smoking things.
Yes, exactly.
I have to put my Mima on blast for a second. Sorry, Mima. So when TikTok first came out a while back, then she was like, oh, I got TikTok. And we're like, oh, what do you watch on TikTok? And she's like, well, it's the app with the dancing firefighters. And we're like, what are you talking about? And she's like, the dancing firefighter app. And we're like, what do you mean? She opens her TikTok and she's showing us her For You page. And it's all of those like oiled up dancing firefighters, suspenders, back 8-pack. And then dancing firefighters. She's like, sometimes there's cowboys too and like police officers. I said, good for you, Mima. She curated
that's the side of TikTok that we all wish we could be on.
Imagine if that was Kevin's. Since we all have the same one, obviously. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Let's switch it up. I want to go back to the beginning. Give me your life story.
Oof.
Okay. Where were you born? Time if you wish to tell us. Just everything.
I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. My family's originally from a really teeny tiny town in southern Arkansas, like on the Louisiana border, called Magnolia, Arkansas.
Sounds charming.
It does sound so charming, but there's literally like nothing there. Oh. But what's really exciting, I just went back this last summer, and Exxon Mobil is like doing this like huge like plant, because like bromine, which goes into batteries, can only be found in like 2 places in the world, and Arkansas is one of them.
I didn't know that.
I know, fun fact for you.
Wow.
So it's about to be a booming town. Not sure how they're gonna get there though, because like there's like a Walmart and a Long John Silver's, like that's about it. So we went back for a funeral over the summer, and I told Kevin, I was like, I'm gonna let you know right now, like the moment we turn the corner, like you'll know we're in Magnolia, because like things change. And but yeah, so it sounds like a super charming little town, but there's literally nothing there. But so we moved to Forsyth when I was 3 years old, so Taney County. And then we moved to Branson right when I started kindergarten. So I went to Branson up until my 8th grade year. And my second semester of 8th, was it 8th grade? Yeah, it was 8th grade. I was put in foster care. And that's when I moved to Ozark because there was placing teenagers is really, really hard in the foster system, especially teenage girls, which a lot of people like, I don't know, you don't think about those things. A lot of people get into fostering to adopt, which is great. There's a need for it, but they want the babies. Yeah. They don't necessarily want
the kids,
teenagers.
The baggage.
Yeah, because a lot of, we come with a lot of baggage. We come with a lot of trauma. We come with a lot of things. So my mom died when I was 12. She overdosed on drugs. And then my dad was a pretty raging alcoholic and really struggled with addiction, in and out of rehab, my sister and I's whole life. And we had actually like really lived with our grandparents most of the time. And then my dad got married and was like doing pretty okay, got a job, was doing well. And then just really hit the fan at some point. I have an older sister, Kimberly. And when I say that we are night and day, I mean like night and day. She is the polar opposite of me. So sweet, all the things, but like she also like really struggled with addiction and that kind of stuff. So my dad and her really like buddied up on that level because that's what they both had interests doing together. She dropped out of school in 8th grade to stay home and do drugs with my dad, and I was like student council president, and you know what I mean?
Which is remarkable that you were able to still persist and pursue those things.
Yeah, and I don't really attest to anything other than like I just think that the Lord like really had a calling on my life.
Did you have strong faith growing up? Was that something that was present in your childhood? Not
necessarily. Like we went to like, a normal, every now and then we go to church with Nana, Granddaddy never really went, but we went with Nana every now and then, but not really,
Wow.
I think I just always had this desire to like fit in, quote unquote. And I saw that the way that my family was doing life was like not like the way that the people who I wanted to associate myself with, like even at a young age, like in school, like the it group, you know what I mean? Like their parents were married and they didn't, it was just like, I just knew from a very young age that like what I was like being raised in was not normal.
That's very perceptive from that age. And also that's a really positive way to view comparison and almost peer pressure in a way. And I think that that's maybe a benefit that you wouldn't have gotten if you were lived in any other part of the world, but to grow up in the Midwest in the Bible Belt and then to see that and then to be able to discn that that's what you wanted for your life so young. That's remarkable. Really.
Yeah. So, so Kimberly and I actually went into care together. It was like middle of a ice storm. It was like wild. Like getting out of Branson and getting to Ozark was like a 2-hour trip for us just because it's like the middle of the night, the whole 9 yards, and which is wild. I'm like, why did of all the times.
Do you care to give some more information on how that happens? Like how you can come to get taken out of your parents' care?
Hotline. My dad was hotline like 28 times.
Wow. Were you aware of any of that whenever you were growing up?
Yeah, I was. And then the only reason we were taken into care, like the system, like there's a lot of checks and balances, and it's way different now even than when it was like when I was in care. My parents now, my mom sits on the board in Jeff City, so I kind of, it's wild how much, and I think it's for the better, honestly. But the fact that my dad was hotline 28 times in 1 year, like, and then that's like what took us into care.
Right.
But you have caseworkers assigned to your case and that kind of stuff. But ultimately at the time, and I don't know if this is still the case or not, but it's up to the police to like say like, okay, yes, this caseworker has like put all the evidence together, the police show up, but the officer is the one who makes the ultimate decision. And so that day, I guess they just were like, yep, we're heading out. So it was super last minute. And I think after so many times of the caseworkers and the police coming to the house, like we're a little desensitized to it. So when they finally were like, okay, like pack a bag.
You just didn't think it was ever going to get to that point.
Yeah, I just felt really weird. And it was like, for me, it was like scary, but also relief because like, I don't know, like I'm a firm believer of like, if this is what it takes for them to get their shit together, then like Godspeed. You know what I mean? Like,
do you remember having that? Like, did you want to be taken? Did you?
I did.
That's so. I feel like in media, and there, you might fully disagree with media portrayal of adoption and foster care and everything, but so often you see that kids don't want to be separated from their parents, even if it's a situation that's to their own detriment.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your perception was.
My sister was definitely the other way around, but obviously, you know, she wasn't in school. She, you know, had gone to rehab at that point, and I don't want to share too much of her story. We don't have a relationship, but you know, still a small town.
Yeah.
But she did not want to do that. She was very, you know, but her and my dad had a very different relationship than my dad and I did. So, so we were taken into care. We were placed with a couple in Ozark, and we were stayed with them for 30 days because they were emergency placement, and you can't stay with an emergency placement for more than 30 days.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like different licensing and that kind of stuff. And so after 30 days, we got moved to now my mom and dad, Brian and Dana. Yeah. And it's so funny because when we still joke about it, but my mom like has a sticky note of like, we were their first placement ever. They moved out from California to start life here in Missouri, and they knew they wanted to foster, and they knew they wanted to do teenage girls. And it was like this whole thing that they just like knew they wanted to do, which is wild. And so, but she wrote down a little sticky note. It says, Kimberly, 16, former drug history. And I think that was it. But mine was 14, angry and opinionated. And it's hilarious because it's like, I do have a lot of opinions, and I had a lot of opinions because I had my whole life, I was my dad and my, you know, even excuses from why my mom died and, you know, all this kind of stuff. It was like, they were just excuses. And I'm like, yeah, but that's just an excuse. So like, get your shit together and like do better. Like just do better.
That's just incredible though, because it takes a lot to even stand against your parents internally to view what they've done as wrong. And I think that's a very challenging part of growing up, even in a healthy, stable household. And for me, it took until I was in my late teens, early 20s to even see my parents are people too. They make mistakes too. And to be realizing that at such a young age and be faced with such incredibly difficult things to comprehend, and to still be able to say this is their choice, that they can be better and they're choosing not to be, it's just unfathomable.
So, you know, I would get kicked out of like family counseling every week, and finally they were just like made me stop. They were like, you don't have to come anymore. I'm like, oh, thank God. It's just a waste of time. It works. So my sister went back and lived with my grandparents, maybe 6 months into it, 8 months into it. And I stayed, and then I eventually was adopted. So my dad, since my mom had passed away, we didn't have to like terminate rights there. But my dad, a couple years into it, terminated his rights as my legal parent. And then I was adopted at 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you? Like, were you hoping that would happen, or were you?
Yeah. And honestly, it's a huge relief. And like I said, I don't really know what the system is like now, but at any given point, like it would take like one accusation on my mom and dad, and like I would be taken from the home because I'm in the state's custody, not like necessarily my mom and dad's custody.
So 28 hotlines for you to even get taken out of a bad situation, but one potential report for you to get taken out of a household that's been vetted and pre-approved and has. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So there was like always that, just like that sense of like, you know, and obviously at that age, like I had just been chasing stability my whole life. And so like knowing that like, if the ground becomes a little shaky, like my, like what I've like been chasing for the last, you know, at that time I was between 14 and 17, like
only the most formative years of your life.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and, you know, I had switched schools and all that kind of stuff. You know, I'd, you know, gone to Branson my whole entire life.
How did that work for you socially? Because at that age, you know, your social life is a huge portion of who you are. It was
hard. Yeah. And Ozark was very, clicky. Yeah. And it was like and it was, you know, it'd probably be the same way of someone coming into Branson at that age. You know, we'd all gone to school together from such a young age, and everyone played sports together and that kind of stuff. And I was thankful enough that like when I started at Ozark, I actually had a few friends that were already, like I had already known at Ozark just from like sports and mutual friends and that kind of stuff. So that helped a ton, but it still was hard because it's the girls that I, you know, had all my sleepovers with and that kind of stuff were, you know, 40 minutes south. Right. And, you know,
that's a lifetime in that age.
It is, you know, you can't drive, you can't do that kind of stuff. And I can't spend the night with them unless their whole entire family is willing to go through background checks. And it was very weird. I couldn't have a cell phone. Wow. It was just weird.
How much of your situation did your friend circle know? Were they aware of what you were dealing with at home and why you
and
moved?
I definitely like in my before I was taken into care, I definitely like bounced around on friends' couches a lot just to kind of get out of the house. And I lived with one family, one friend's family for almost a year. And then, you know, it's still hard though. It's like
Of
at that age,
course.
you want to be friends. You don't necessarily like, so when you're sharing a room and you're sharing a bed and that kind of stuff, like it just gets hard. So I'd gone back, kind of just like floated from friend to friend for a while just to kind of stay out of the house as much as possible, just to keep like waters calm, because it was almost like when I would be in there that's when it would get weird and hard, and I just didn't want to do that. So, but yeah, I mean, it was interesting for sure, you know, but I am a very like big, like everything happens for a reason. Like every single step and every single season happens for a reason.
That's a very brave way to view everything. I think you have a lot of right and a lot of reasons, obviously, to be angry and to be resentful and have a chip on your shoulder. And the fact that you are so well adjusted and so successful, but also are so at peace with your situation, with the hand that you were dealt, that is, I don't even have words for it.
Yeah. And I think too, you know, low income families and, you know, just being in Taney County, there was a lot of like lower income families and that kind of stuff. And, you know, I grew up on food stamps, very poor, like the whole 9 yards. And it's like, I think you just see it's, you know, it's generational poverty and there's that kind of stuff, you know, and you see so many people fall into it because they're like, this is what I came from, so this is what I know. And it's like, well, just because you came from that doesn't mean you have to do that.
The cycle can end with you.
Correct.
You can break the cycle.
Yeah, you totally can. And so I think, you know, like I said earlier, it's like I just knew that I didn't want what I had come from. And so I think I just chased after quote unquote normalcy a little like harder. And maybe like a little bit of like identity crisis too, of like trying to be a chameleon in different situations
and probably stay under the radar so you wouldn't ruffle feathers and you wouldn't incite that anger or that unstable reaction that you were used to in your home life. So to be able to blend it and kind of be what everyone needed of you, I'm sure that was a trauma response.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. But yeah, so I was adopted at 17, graduated high school, moved to Africa for a while.
Oh,
yep.
Put a pin in that. I have more questions first.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know what you wanted to do at that point in your life, or were you just chasing, like you said, stability, financial, emotional?
Yeah, I didn't, like when I graduated, I knew I didn't want to go to college. I did like the program through high school. So I like basically graduated high school with like almost my associate's degree.
Which is also incredible.
Yeah. And so I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was like, I don't feel like going into debt is worth me like trying to figure out what I want to do. And I, you know, was working at the tea room at the time. So I was making great money and great money for that age of my life, you know.
Of course, I remember your first restaurant job. You're like, oh my gosh, I can make this much cash.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I just was like, I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's what I want to do. And I was like, I'm very much okay with like going through life. And if I get to the point where I'm like, oh, I want to do that and that requires a degree, I will go get a degree then. But I'm like, I'm not just going to like waste time and not work and do that kind of stuff. And I think it's great. I think the people that go to college and use their degrees is great. But I also think it's becoming a thing where people are realizing that not everyone has to go to college.
Absolutely. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I went to online college for that exact reason, to avoid going into debt. And since I was paying for my own school, then it wasn't a luxury that I had. And I was working full time to pay for that and then taking classes online at night. And I had a lot of resentment for people that had the ability and the luxury to go to school and not have jobs and to just enjoy the full experience. But that was the decision that I chose to make because I was in not an even close to a similar situation, but a similar mentality.
Yeah.
But I have even more respect for you in that situation because that was kind of before this new current trend of college not being necessary. Because I think just now, having a brother that's in college, we're starting to see people not really put as much emphasis on it and say it's more about who you know and the connections and your work ethic and how it's so overpriced for no real payoff.
Yeah.
And just the return on your investment is not there. But whenever you were in college, then I don't think that was quite a revolution yet.
Yeah.
Because even whenever I was, which was, 2016-ish, it just wasn't as, it was like you go to college.
Yeah, it's just what you do.
And even though working in a blue collar field or in a trade, those are so necessary and they can be so incredibly lucrative. It's looked down upon by society. And I think it's starting to change finally, maybe after COVID, because people are realizing how necessary all of those careers are and, how many more, theoretical psychologists do we really need?
Right.
Versus how many linemen do we need? How many nurses do we need? Like, there are just so many arguments to be made for that. And to have made that decision on your own, especially after pursuing, normalcy and going against the grain would be not going to college. So even more admirable.
I remember I got invited like on this special trip up to Jeff City, like for school. and my senior year. And I remember we got like almost all the way to Jeff City, and I realized that like everyone else in the car, because there was just like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of us, everyone else was competing for a scholarship. And I'm like, I'm here and I'm not even going to college. And it's like, well, just so you know, you have one less person to compete against, because I'm just here to do the tour of the Capitol.
Right. Wow. That's amazing.
I never forget that, because I like literally, if you've ever been to Jeff City, you like get off on the exit and you take like to go through that small town to get there. And it's like when we were getting off on the exit, that's when I realized what was going on. I was like, oh, did you guys know that I'm not actually like,
I'm just here. I'm just here for an experience.
I'm not trying to go to college.
Oh, don't worry about me. Yeah. Nobody poisoned my drink. I'm just here for a good time.
Literally. Wow. Yeah. I'm here to miss a day of school and go tour the Capitol.
Yeah. But that just speaks, I mean, to you wanting just to enrich your own life and not being there just as a resume builder, which I think a lot of kids can be pushed to do, just one more thing to add to the college application. But okay, so Africa. Yes. What led you to Africa? Where did you go?
I did YWAM.
Okay.
Youth with Mission. So I did a school for part of it, and then we traveled for the rest of it. So I did my schooling in Cape Town, South Africa.
Wow.
I lived in a little surfer community called Muizenberg, and you'll have to look it up sometime, but a lot of times, like, you'll see the colorful beach houses, like on a beach, like, or like on postcards and like frames and that kind of stuff. That's in Muizenberg.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it was amazing.
What was the experience like culturally? Did you have a huge shock, a learning curve?
Not a huge learning curve, especially because I started in South Africa. I think, just the standard, it was a little bit different. You walk everywhere. People are barefoot, like taking the train, like obviously coming from here, like you drive everywhere. Well, no one drives really there. It's like you just walk to the bus and you get on the bus, or you walk to the train station, you take a train into town. Like, so like a little bit of like newness there, but not so much culturally, because South Africa is so westernized, especially, well, I shouldn't say South Africa. Cape Town is so westernized. Right. But I did a school and we had like 30 different countries represented. So I had, I shared a room with like a girl from Finland and Oregon and you know what I mean? Like Spain, and it just like all over. So, but I started in Cape Town, and then we went to Johannesburg, which is also in South Africa, and I hated it. And it was like the way I felt like we were in 2 totally different worlds. And even though I only took I literally was like a 26-hour bus ride, which
my gosh.
Still talk about, that's probably the worst trauma I've ever experienced.
Yeah, you're like, nope, scratch everything else.
Literally. So yeah, but it just was different, and I just didn't really care for it. And then we went to Kenya, and I remember thinking, if I had started my journey in Kenya, I would have been home within 2 weeks. And but once again, it made me thankful for like the progression of like what we had done, because I'm like, I enjoyed my time in Kenya, but there's no way I could have started my time in Kenya there.
Right.
It was a very spiritually heavy place. We lived right next to a mosque. And so we woke up every day at 5 o'clock to the call of prayer. It was just different. It was just so different that I think if I would have gone from Ozark, Missouri to Mombasa, Kenya, like I just would have been unwell.
Absolutely. Well, you almost have to ease into it in a way. Otherwise, what are you supposed to 100%. How are you even supposed to get your bearings? Literally. I can imagine that.
Yeah. And, and you're sleeping, you have no running. I didn't wash my hair the whole time I lived in Kenya, because we didn't have running water. And, you're sleeping under mosquito nets with like no AC, you're cooking your supper over open fire. Like, I mean, when I say you're in squatty potties, like hole in the ground, like situation for toilets. So yeah, it was good, but I'm very thankful that that's not where I started.
Eat, pray, love, less glamorous.
Yeah.
More, less pasta and wine.
Then we went to Mozambique, and we lived on an orphanage there for a while. And then that was really sweet, and some of the most like sweet memories that I have from Africa are in there. And then I went back down to South Africa.
How did you get connected with this program in the first place? I mean, what was your calling to that?
My mom actually did YWAM. My adopted mom did YWAM after college. And I don't know. I just always like have loved traveling and seeing new things and experiencing new things. And so when I knew I didn't want to do college, I was like, well, I guess I could just go do this for a while and see what that looks like. And so I
make a difference, a positive impact.
Yeah, exactly. That's incredible. So I just did that for a while and came back home. And
how long were you gone?
Almost a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What do you think that did for you internally? Like, can you recognize any specific changes in yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I think it just really pushed me into my independence, right? So I was 18. I literally turned I was 18 and moved to Africa where I knew no one, right? So, and it's like, I have like friends that, we were like,
I feel like there's not a reaction big enough for what that means, truly.
And it's like, you think the things that you have to figure out, you can't just like call home for, right? So like there's a 8-hour time difference. So I can't just like call my mom and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Like, what do you think? Cause it's like, you have to plan a FaceTime. You have to like, you know, and gosh, I did that in 2012 is when I moved to Africa. So like technology is way different now than it was then, you know, even though we had iPhones and that kind of stuff, it was still like, you had to pop the SIM card out and get an international SIM card. It wasn't just like, there was no Wi-Fi calling. There was none of that. So it was just a little bit harder, you know? And so it was more emails and that kind of stuff, than anything else that was communication home. And, you know, every once in a while.
And for someone who's wanted stability for your whole life, that seems like a far cry from, you know, everything that you were building to just pick up and leave. Do you think that was challenging for you emotionally, or was it?
I think it was good.
Okay.
I think it was good because I think it just taught me I can rely on new friends, right? So we were all of us there. We were all different ages. I mean, we had married couples. We had kids my age, you know, just out of high school. We had some that were just post-uni, like the whole 9 yards. But I think we were all in some way, shape, or form walking in the same season of life because we were all experienced the newness. There were a couple of people there from South Africa. But I mean, most of us, you know, could only dream about being there. So I think, yes, it was different stability, but I think it taught me in a way that like, okay,
you are your own stability.
Correct. Yeah. And you can figure things out. Like take a deep breath. Like, let's walk through this for a season. Like it's okay to meddle on it because by the time that someone responds, it's going to be 8 hours because they're sleeping. You know what I mean? And like, or, you know, you can make a new connection with someone who's also walking in the same season of life.
I think that it's so brave of you to go and do that. Yeah. I think that if you felt any kind of spiritual calling to do that and you acted on it, that's already just amazing because it takes so many of us, myself included, I feel like I'm still learning it, just to know you're getting a prompting from God and then to move. That's just, it takes so much courage. And then to move across the world after you don't really know what you're doing and you've gone through all of these upheavals in your, you know, adolescence and to finally get into a stable home and then to risk, you know, not risk because your parents aren't going anywhere, but to leave that in pursuit of everything else that you're trying to develop and grow. And I think the biggest, I have so much to commend you for, but just to be able to go and know that you have all that strength in yourself and it's not the situation, you know, if you can go to Africa and find peace and find strength and know that if you yourself are there and you have your faith, you'll make friends, you'll learn the landscape, you'll learn, you know, how to spend your days, then what can't you conquer?
Exactly.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It was a blast. I'm so glad I did it. I said that to several like friends who kids are like about to go to college and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, they're like, I don't know if they're going to do college. I'm like, do YWAM. Because like, if you don't know what you want to do, they have different schools and that kind of stuff you can do. I was like, take 6 months, take 9 months, go figure out what you want to do. Like there's no pressure.
And just see how big the world is.
Literally. It's you know, Europe is huge on gap years. So like, it's almost unheard of for like kids to go to college right after they graduate high school. So they all take a gap year. And so many of my friends that I met from Europe, they were at YWAM on their gap year. And you should, you know, and I think we're kind of like in the society these days of like nurturing and babying and coddling. And it's like, kick them across the world and let them figure out how to start a washing machine that's not in English. You know what I mean?
If you think about the problems that we have, like all the things that I was struggling with in my early college days, because when I moved out, I was 17 and I thought that was huge. And I was moving, you know, across the city of Missouri.
Is huge though.
It was big for what I was going through at the time, but to think about all those issues in the face of the world, you know, thinking about how to pay a utility bill online with my smartphone and my Wi-Fi and my air conditioning. If you think about all of that in the context of what you were experiencing at the same age, it's obviously so vastly different. And I'm sure that just changes your perspective for life on what you deal with back here. Do you think that you handle stress better because of what you've gone through? Because it could have gone either way. Yeah.
I mean, and two, it's been so long ago now, like, you know, that was... I mean, 12 years ago that I was over there. But I think it's good to be reminded of it. Like even just now when you're saying like, I pay my utility bill on my smartphone, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like one of our speakers, and there's so many like snippets from like my time and my schooling there that I like still carry to this day. And one time they were talking about like biblical worldview, but it could be translated into so many things. It's all your perspective, and it's just a pair of sunglasses, right? So like you have a pair of sunglasses of what you've experienced in your life and what your world looks like, and I have a pair of sunglasses. And it's like you can take it off and you can put them on, but like everyone looks through a different pair of sunglasses.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes it's like it's the reminder of like, okay, I'm going to take my sunglasses off and I'm going to resonate with you. Like, what does your world look like if I put yours on? You know what I mean? It's like everyone is walking through things in life, and it doesn't make it my hurt even like deeper than or worse or more significant. Like hurt is hurt at the end of the day. Like,
well, there's so many quotes that come to mind just with that same sentiment.
Yeah.
And one thing that I feel like has been really helping me just feel more at peace with life lately is, and I don't even know where this came from. I would like to say I'm just brilliant, but I think it was either from God or from Ted Lasso. I can't remember. I don't know which one, but those are the two things that I have been consuming the most of lately. So forgive me if that's blasphemous, but it's just the sentiment that no one is doing something to me. They're doing it for themselves. So viewing all of the hurt that I've had or all of the times I've been wronged or things that have been, done where it feels like a betrayal, 99% of them aren't being done to me. No one's saying like, screw you, Hannah. I hope this really hurts.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they want something. So like in the past, if someone's been unfaithful, they're not doing it as like an F you to me. They're doing it because of their own desires in that moment. And that doesn't make it okay. But it doesn't mean it was at me, you know?
Exactly.
And if someone's done something to me in the professional realm that I think is a slight or someone, has taken something from me or gone after a client of mine or undercut my pricing, they're not doing it to see me not win or to see me fail. They're just doing it for themselves. And
Correct.
I've had a lot of situations that I felt vindicated. Like I'm right. I'm the victim. I did nothing wrong. They did that to me.
Yeah.
And to start seeing it as they didn't do anything to me. Like they were only acting as a selfish person, as we all
had
do.
silos on and blinders.
Exactly.
And they don't care if you're here because they don't see you. They're just, they've had this thing in mind.
And that's hard because I sometimes get very comfortable in the role of a victim and start to think,
it's hard not to.
It's so challenging.
Hard, yeah.
But it's so much more freeing to think, they don't owe me an apology. They didn't do it to me. They did it for themselves. And like, how many times in my life have I acted in my own selfish interests and has it been perceived as me slighting someone else? And it's just a very difficult thing to kind of grasp because it takes away that like ivory tower that we like to live in and think, the world is out to get me or things were done to me. But even everything you're saying, just like the empathy that you get and to view the world as so massive and we're so small and it just puts everything in perspective.
1,000,000% it does. Yeah.
I could keep going on, but I want to talk about you. There's so much to unpack. I think that you just have the most remarkable story. Maybe we'll even do a part 2. But so how did you go from Africa to where you are now? Can you bridge that gap?
So came back home, went back to work at the tea room full time, and then got married. Very young. I was 21 when I got married.
Wow.
And married the guy that I kind of dated all through high school and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, like I kind of got to the point where I literally like, I say it all the time. Brenda called me tomorrow and say, hey, I need you to fill in. I would take PTO and I would go work at the tea room tomorrow because like the way that Brenda and Carrie May have like shaped me into like the worker that I am today, like they were my foundation for hard work. And I see them and they're still to this day, some of the most hardest working people I know. And they are the most special human beings. But I just like kind of had this thing. I'm like, I don't know that I can like do this forever. Like, I don't know that I want to wait tables forever. I was making great money, and we had our nice little house and our perfect quote unquote little life. And so I just kind of started, I was like, well, I think I think at the time I was like 22 or 23. And I was like, well, if I'm going to go get a job that's not serving related, like this is a time to ask someone to take a chance on me, not like, hey, I'm 23, like teach me new skills versus like, hey, I'm 45, teach me new skills. Like people are definitely willing to like, take a chance on someone that they're like, they're not stuck in their ways. They're a little bit more moldable. Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't hurt that you're cute.
So I got a job at a dental office here in town and I was there like front of like office manager basically. So I started doing, which is wild because I had zero dental experience, actually terrified of the dentist, like cry getting my teeth cleaned, terrified of the dentist. So I started working in the dental office. I worked there for, 3.5 years. I worked there up until COVID actually.
Wow.
And so because COVID, shut everything down, that was like not necessary medically related.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of put like it was a scary, so many people have COVID traumas and totally different, whether it's because they lost someone because of it or they were laid off or, everyone's
even
lives
just the emotional implications of quarantine and everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it was so funny because for the longest time, I should back up a little bit. In that time, like right before COVID, so it was like 2018, I had found out that my husband was having an affair and he was not the nicest person to me, physically abusive. And then when he was cheating and it was like gave him chance after chance. And I was like, okay, well, you're actually having a physical affair now. Like I think it's time we like call it quits. And so walked through that season, and then but you know, kind of just kept to like what I knew. So I just dove into working even more. So I started working at Vineyard, was still working at the tea room on Saturdays, and had my office job Monday through Friday. So just stayed really, really busy. And then, but yeah, so then COVID hit, and Kevin and I were living together at the time. We had bought a house here in Springfield together, and I always joked with him. I was like, I think I could be a stay-at-home dog mom. I you know, had worked so hard from the time I started working at the team when I was 15, you know, it's like, I just like worked and worked and worked and worked.
So by the time you get to the normal age of people starting their careers, you've already been putting in these,
oh my gosh,
40-hour work weeks.
I remember like not going to school sometimes and picking up a shift at like Subway. It's not that deep. Like Subway's still, they're going to survive whether I work that shift or not.
But still, I mean, would you have survived if you didn't have like that outlet and that, like something to channel your life, your energy into?
Exactly. And so I joked, I was like, I think I could be really like a really good stay-at-home dog mom. Yeah. Well, then COVID gave me the great opportunity to like, you know, which was terrifying. You know, no one knew what unemployment was going to look like. No one knew any of that stuff. And Kevin and I were very, I don't want to say young into our relationship, but you know, it was, he sells real estate. And so that was also a scary time. Like, how do you show a house when you're supposed to be quarantining?
And it's not guaranteed, you know?
Exactly.
The market was crazy.
You know, and we thought, it's just wild. So about 2 weeks in, Kevin came home, and I hadn't moved off the couch, and he was like, this is not a good look on you. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, you're right. I don't need to be a stay-at-home dog mom. And so I kind of just had this gut feeling that I needed to like change jobs. And I don't know why, because I had come to love dental. I worked so hard for all of my knowledge in dental and that kind of stuff. I became a little bit of like a dental nerd. And so I just started like I tried to stay in dental. It's actually hilarious. I don't know if you saw my story it's probably been a couple months ago now, but the Ronald McDonald tooth truck that drives around town. Yeah. I got offered to be their office manager at one point, but then I realized that one of the job descriptions was driving that giant bus around, and I was like politely declined. I'm like, absolutely not.
So my spatial awareness could never.
And he's freaking huge. Yeah. And so I die laughing.
You have to have like a CDL to drive that.
Oh, I'm sure. Right? Like, I'm like, you should not.
It's way above my skill level. No. Yeah.
And so I tried to stay in dental, you know, looked at switching to like endodontics instead of just general dentistry. And I just kept telling Kevin, I was like, I don't know, like I was going to have to take a pay cut, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, something will be out there. Like, it's not worth, like, I don't want to change jobs so bad that it's worth me like taking a cut to change jobs.
Especially if you like where you're at. You're not in a rush.
I wasn't in a rush. And two, like, it was COVID. I wasn't technically working. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I wasn't working. I was just claiming unemployment and looking for a job. But I stumbled across this Indeed listing, and it had like minimal information, and it was just like office admin for insurance or technology company or something like that. Like, I mean, like 5 bullet points.
Right. You're like, well, this could be.
I'm like, well, whatever.
Anything.
I'll apply. Yeah. At that point, you know, once you get down that wormhole, like you're just you're sending your resume left and right. Yeah. And so I get a call back the next day, and they're like, would love to have you come in for an interview. I'm like, perfect. They're like, we're downtown Springfield. I'm like, okay. So I go down there, do an interview, and it's funny because the guy that interviewed me literally like came to he was like on a scooter and like scooted to the front
like
to like
a startup parody almost.
Literally. And I was like, what am I? And I called Kevin afterwards. I was like, it was almost like a Google situation. Like it was so weird. And so when they offered me the job, I actually had another job offer on the table from an endodontics place here in town. And Kevin,
which is what you thought you wanted.
Correct. Yep. And Next Level Solutions was going to match my pay, what I was making, and the endodontics office was a little bit more of like it was a little bit of a cut. And Kevin was like, I don't know, Hailey, like the startup company, like there's no guarantee. Like, you know how many like tech startups are a thing? Like it's just a fad. And I was like, yeah, but like they're going to match. I was like, I don't know. I just like had this, and it's not like me to just be like, whatever, I don't care what you're saying, I'm going to do this. Yeah. But I did. And I you
just had a feeling.
I did. I just really had this gut feeling that this is what I needed to do. And so he was like, okay, that's fine. Wow. And so I did it, kind of also knowing that if shit hit the fan, I could probably call the office back and just be like, hey. Will you still take me? And so I did, and it was the best decision I've ever made, honestly.
So you started off as an office admin.
I did. Yeah.
And what was that like for you initially? Because you'd been doing an office admin position previously.
Yeah.
How was that different from dental?
Okay.
Like what was
so different?
Okay. Walk me
So
through it.
obviously with dental, like people are coming in, you're greeting your patients,
Yeah.
you're scheduling appointments, you're taking payments, you're doing the whole 9 yards. So Next Level Solutions does software implementation for insurance companies in the property and casualty space. So
a little different. Which is a whole new learning curve after you just like immerse yourself in one industry that's very hyper specific.
Sometimes I'm like, I actually don't know what I'm talking
Right.
about. Like I repeat that stuff and I'm like, I actually have like,
Yeah.
So, but at the time, I mean, I was higher number like 60. Like, and so we were very small, very, very small. And that's globally at that point. So we had an office in Columbia, South Carolina, and we have a couple people in Maine and then Springfield. And so overall, I was higher like sub 60 or something like that. And so we only had maybe 40 people in Springfield, but they're all developers. And so they're all on their computers all day long, like coding software, and like no one talks. And so you don't have people coming to the front door because
it's not
unless it's UPS, like there's no one coming.
Right.
And so, and the guy that trained me, that was the office admin before, he was transitioning into become a developer.
Okay.
And so, and we were still very young. We weren't even a year old when I started. And so it was like, it's funny because like, I was like ordering laptops and I'm like, I literally have no idea what I'm doing.
Like,
I was setting up people's email accounts. I was like,
while Googling how to set up people's email accounts.
The way that we have like a whole like department now that is like, I like still chuckle. Like I remind them, I'm like, hey, remember when I used to do that stuff? Like, can you believe they used to let me do that?
Yeah.
And so I think it has evolved over time, but so has our company. And I don't take this lightly. And I'm like, yes, I work my ass off. Yes, I work really hard. I know what I'm good at and I like just get shit done. But like also I've been so blessed to like be with a company that has allowed me to grow as they grow. That they have, you know, everything has shipped and shaped like everything. And
completely evolved and become a household name in the area at least.
Yeah, we have
I'm
over
sure
300 employees now, and
Wow.
you know, and I've been a part of building out the office in Colombia and building out the office in Puerto Rico and that kind of stuff. But it wouldn't. I think that's something. It's really humbling to like look back on my years here at NLS and knowing that like I just like did really good work and that my good work has allowed me to like.
Absolutely.
Climb as they climb. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, it's been nice for sure, but it's way different. You know what I mean? I remember coming home at one point and Kevin would be like, how was your day? And I was like, I still like, if I sneeze and no one says, God bless you, it's my biggest pet peeve. Like, cause I will yell it across the bullpen.
Oh yeah.
You've never been to my office, but you'll have to come by sometime. Like it's just literally like 20,000 square feet and it's just all standing desks and people standing there
like a tech,
literally what you think of,
just what you picture.
Yeah, big headphones, like everyone's just like in their computers, and I'm like, I sneeze and no one says God bless you, and I was like, that's so annoying.
You're like, I'm gonna pull the fire alarm.
Literally, like we rise at dawn and bring your pitchfork, okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it was really different, and I, you know, I had just gone from just being so like customer service oriented from serving, and you know, and
you can't take that out of your instinct. Like you can't remove that desire to like, I don't know, just be on and be a people person.
I remember going to Michael, who owns the company or one of the owners of the company, who was my boss. And I just said, I was like, I just need more. Like, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. Like I'm flying through these lists. Like there's list makers, there's list doers. And I would say that I'm a little bit of both, but like, this is so new to me that like, I don't necessarily feel the most comfortable in like making lists around here. Cause I don't want to like overstep my welcome, you know, and my boundaries and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I was cleaning out closets just to literally stay busy. And I still to this day, like it's probably been about a year ago now that I passed off like the office, side of things, like what I was over. So I don't like really handle like anything to do with like the internal office anymore. But I remember like if the toilet seat needed to get tightened, like I wasn't going to call someone. I literally would just tighten the toilet seat lid. You know what I mean? It's like, because it's not beneath me. Like if I'm capable and I can do it, like I'm going to do it.
Well, they say it in all kinds of leadership books. Like if you really want to lead people, you have to be able to do every single job in the company. And that's 1,000% true.
Yeah.
What is your title now?
My title now, it's hilarious. I'm supposed to be getting a new one allegedly, but
allegedly.
Allegedly. I've had so many titles.
Yeah.
Right now it's just public relations manager. And then it's not in my title, but I am the executive assistant to the COO. Yeah.
And what does your day-to-day look like? Which that's a very badass title, by the way.
Yeah,
Love it.
thank you.
Especially
Thank you.
considering your journey to get there. Like it's very cool anyways if I had just met you as a professional, which I did, but then to see now the journey that you took to get there, very cool.
Yeah.
What is your day-to-day like? What are the main things you
so
handle?
Different every day. Right now it's, and not to like make fun of your podcast from last week.
No.
It's the busy season.
Yes.
But it's event season and award seasons and that kind of stuff. So like
Yes, it is.
So my job with the PR side of things is for brand awareness. And I would definitely say our public relations definition maybe leans a little bit more towards like community development.
Of course.
So it's, finding where we want to invest our dollars for nonprofits and what dinners do we want to go to? What,
show your face, have a presence.
Exactly. And it's for the awareness, like branding awareness, but also just for like the, what organizations do we want to partner alongside? And
the ethos of the company, like what matters to you.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's and it's just the season for those things. It's the season for the dinners and for the award ceremonies.
And if I think I'm busy, I can't even imagine what your schedule is like.
Well, and it's hit and miss. There's sometimes, after I get home from Puerto Rico in December, after our company party down there, I mean, it slows down a ton but then there are days, where I have 2 events a week and I'm out until 10 o'clock at night.
And your blisters have blisters and
correct,
you're exhausted.
Exactly. So it's ebb and flows. And, some days are really, really busy with back-to-back meetings and the other days I'm like, does anybody need anything?
Right.
You know what I mean?
But that's kind of nice. And I think if you had one or the other, it might drive you crazy, but it's nice to be able to recharge yourself on the days that you're not necessarily as in demand, but then to have that pace be pushed to make you appreciate the off days,
Exactly. And I don't be like, oh, I worked from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. I'm like, well, then in 3 days I might only really work a couple hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm at the office all day, but like I'm not necessarily like actively like
you're not putting out fires all day every day.
Exactly.
Which is you have to have a balance because at some point you would just burn out if you were chasing everything around all the time and you wouldn't have anything else to give. So in order to be a productive and valuable member to the team and just in society, you have to have some time to offset the chaos.
Exactly.
And that is a very difficult thing to learn. So I'm glad that your job facilitates that in you too.
Yeah.
I'm
so thankful for it.
I have so many questions for you, but to be courteous of your time, what career advice do you feel has helped shape you into the employee that you are and the businesswoman that you are? And has there been anything that was maybe poor advice that you were glad you didn't take or that you took and learned?
I think it kind of goes back to like, just like nothing is beneath you, right? So like no matter what your title is or no matter like what you get to wear every day to work or no matter what, like if there's something that needs to be done, just do it. It doesn't matter if it falls to you. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like I say this, it's kind of been my thing lately. I'm like, it's just not that deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like that quote in itself is so much deeper than it sounds. Because if you think about it, what is that deep? Like if we all just take a second to do a little like mental exercise, and we close our eyes and we start to think about what is weighing on us and you just compare it to that quote, like it's not that deep. How many things are truly weighing? Because there are so many things that just float in the back of my head all the time. Like I have to send this email. I have to do this. It's been too long since I responded to that. Nothing is that deep. There are a few things that are weighing on me that are that deep. The rest of it, it's just noise.
Yeah, exactly. So I think just being willing to like fill in when needed and
the humility.
Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah. Especially in today's culture, I think there are so many people that would say, that's not my job. I don't get paid for that. And because we have this big...
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Exactly. Yeah, we have this whole middle finger to the corporate world's, viewpoint. And to some extent, I think that's warranted. But on the other hand, who are we? We're all still just cogs in a machine. We all need to make a living. If every single person just decides to say, I'm not doing that, that's not my job, our society is going to come to a screeching halt.
Yeah,
we all have to play a part in progression in some way.
1,000,000%. Yeah.
I think that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I don't think I necessarily have ever received any like poor advice. We did have someone in leadership. They're no longer in leadership at our company. But she looked at me one day and was like, I want people to know that you're more than just the pretty face that sits outside Michael's office. And how much money do you want to make and blah, 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 blah. And I just like looked at her and I was like, I don't care what people think about me. Right. I don't care if someone thinks that I am just the pretty face that sits outside Michael's office. Cause like, I know what I do in a day and like, that's not really anyone else's business. Wow. Like, as long as like my tasks and my boss is good with what I'm doing, I don't give a rat's monkey what you think about me. Like, you don't sign my paycheck. Like, you're not the one that's going to give me a promotion.
Opinions? Exactly.
You're not my boss. You're just in technical, which is not, I shouldn't say that's like not great advice to like take advice from people in leadership, even if you don't directly report to them. But it just was very off-putting to me. I'm like,
I agree. Well, it puts a negative connotation on someone who is just a pretty face who sits outside someone's office. What's wrong with that? If that's a fulfilling job, that obviously serves an intense purpose, and everyone plays a role in the success of a team. And I saw this quote the other day, which might be more well-known than it was to me, but it was someone taking a tour of NASA, and they asked a janitor and said, "What are you doing here?" And they said, "I'm helping put a man on the moon." And that is 1,000% true, because every single person in that organization makes it possible for them to succeed in their ultimate mission. 100%. It's not just the engineers and the astronauts, it's everyone. So in a company to say, "Oh, well, she's just the pretty face that does this." Well, the office outside of which she sits wouldn't produce anything if she weren't facilitating all of that. So it doesn't matter. And I think that there's such a stigma against, which this could get taken out of context too, but being attractive in a corporate position can yield amazing opportunities, but can also open you up to harassment. It can open you up to stigmas like that, or even just to making assumptions about you. I mean, and looking at you being, dressed in pink and being very put together and beautiful. I will be the first to admit that I would have misjudged you, and I did, and thought she probably has this amazing household. Like, I'm sure her childhood was just ideal. I'm sure her parents have a lake house. I'm sure she has all of these things. Life is great. I would have completely misjudged you. And just because you're so well-spoken, you're so put together, you don't wear any of your trauma in an outward way. And I think that getting to know you more, obviously you have so many layers and so much depth, and you've overcome so much, but you would be very easy to misjudge. And I'm sure that you've had to deal with that quite a bit because you have so much resilience and you don't live your life with a chip on your shoulder.
Correct. Yeah.
So it would be very easy for you to walk around and just be, life owes me this, screw you, screw that. You know what I've gone through, and you don't. And that's takes such strength. So I'm sure that you've had to deal with a lot of unfavorable opinions.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for dealing with that, or just the strength of knowing yourself?
It's hard for sure. And I think you have to, it's like where you say, like, you have to know yourself. And I think you just have to know your truth. Like, you have to know what your intentions are. You have to know, like, you do need to be a little bit aware of, like, other people's perceptions, just because, like, it's just, I mean, I say, like, I don't give a rat's monkey what people think about me, but I'm not going to put myself out there in a way of, like, where I'm like, okay, well, I chose to be the unicorn, so like, I shouldn't be shocked when someone treats me like a unicorn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Like, there's a little bit of awareness with that. But yeah, I think it's just, like, really just knowing your truth, but also taking it back to where I said, like, putting on their sunglasses. Like, why do they think that about me? Like, is it a them problem, or is it truly something that I did?
Right. And if that's an assumption that she was making in that position, or anyone would make in that position of you, that is rooted in insecurity that they would have had, because something in them would not have felt sufficient, would not have felt okay being just a pretty face. They needed to have something to make them feel more important and significant or fulfilled because of a lack of something internally.
Exactly.
So they project that onto you and say, you should want more for yourself. You should not be okay with this. And who is anyone to tell you what you should be okay with,
Yeah.
Especially
I'll never forget, we got down to the end of that conversation. She's like, where do you see your career in 5 years? And kind of just to, like, stick it to her, I was like, well, I hope my husband's making enough money so I don't have to work anymore. I was like,
yeah.
And then she was like, oh. I'm like,
that's it.
And I'm like,
but the confidence that it takes to be able to say that and say that you're not defined by your career.
I am not defined by my career.
Which is amazing, because you have an incredible career and an incredible position.
And I'm so thankful for it, but it's not who I am. I get to do these things, and I am blessed to have a great job, and I am thankful for the opportunity to provide for my family and do the things that, just say it for me.
Generationally.
Thank you. Words are hard sometimes. That my biological family's never got to do, and, even to, my adopted family, like, I was able to, like, my dad works 2 desks down from me now. And it's like, it's things like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I get to do those things, and I get to experience this life, but it is not like, if those things go away, like, who am I? Like, you still have to be someone.
Look at everything you've overcome too. I mean, not to say that, wow, you went through all that stuff just so you can have this amazing happy-go-lucky demeanor, because that cheapens everything that you've been through. But at the same time, in the face of everything you've overcome, to look at that and say, like, I know I will survive. Like, you will move forward.
You have to. You have to. You can't just you can't be so delicate that if like the temperature isn't right, you know, we all kind of joke about that. We all have our friends who are like orchids, like where the humidity has to be perfect, and like the slightest little bit of like inconvenience just like makes the petals fall off, you know, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And you know,
you have to be a succulent, like those things that are impossible to kill. Like they can survive in any terrain. Be a succulent, not an orchid.
Yeah, literally.
You should trademark that. You should do something with that. But that's incredibly true. Like life will never be 100% perfect, and that's something that I feel like I joke that I'm always having some kind of an epiphany, but that's just your 20s. You know, you're always learning something. And some of them contradict each other. Yeah. But I think that learning that the climate will never be 100% perfect. You're never going to have all your clients happy with you. Yeah. Be happy with your fitness level and happy with your physique and happy with your friendships, and no one's rocking the boat and you're not insecure about anything. And you have plenty of Instagram things. Like there's always something that is not right. And if you wait for things to be perfect, you're just going to spend your entire life waiting, which is very challenging. And there's always more to overcome. I mean, and look at everything you've walked through. I feel like I don't want to have brushed over the trauma that you went through in your relationship either. I think that that's an incredibly difficult thing to even discuss because it's so personal and so private.
And well, it's also taboo around here.
It's very taboo.
I mean, I was 25 when I got divorced. Yeah. The way I literally thought, and here I am saying like be a succulent, not an orchid. The way I thought my world was over, genuinely.
I can't imagine not thinking that though. I can't imagine in any capacity thinking that you've met someone that you're going to be with for the rest of your life. And also in your situation, I don't want to project, you know, how I would maybe feel in that situation, my assumptions onto you. But if you had such a tumultuous adolescent time and there was one person that was there for you nonstop and one person that had kind of been stable, even if they themselves weren't stable. And then to think that you know, without a doubt, that the rest of your life is going to be shared with that person and then that gets taken away. Even if the relationship itself wasn't healthy and you know it wasn't healthy, you're not only losing the companionship of the day-to-day, you know, having them there, but 100%. You're losing the future that you thought that you had. So then you're mourning the trust, you're mourning the relationship, and you're mourning the future while also being worried about what people will say because we live in, like you said, an area where that's so taboo. Yeah. So I can't even imagine thinking that your world would go on after that.
It was interesting for sure. You know, and I think, I don't know if I said it on the podcast or if it was just us talking earlier, I'm like, every single step and every single season happens for a reason. And two, like even when mean people do things, whether it's to you, because of you, whatever it is, like I am like a firm believer, like I would go through it all again if that's what it takes for that person to like realize that that's what it took. Like if I say this all the time, my ex-husband has the potential to be like an amazing person. He did some really shitty things and struggles with some stuff, but I said all the time, I'm like, if losing me is what it took for him to get his shit together, Godspeed. Like I would walk through everything that I went through again, because I know how I came out on the other side of it. Like life lessons, character traits, like the whole 9 yards, like it shaped me into the person that God put me on this earth to be. But also like, if that's what it took for him to become the person that God called him to be, like, okay, fine. Like, because here's the thing, like, I know like the Lord was with me through every single step. Like, I'm not just out there like all by myself. Like he was with me, you know? And so like, it's hard and it's scary. And I think, but like when you remind yourself of like, but it's going to be okay. Like as scary as it was, there was a wild amount of peace about it. Like, wow, you know, and even from like my family and that kind of stuff, like they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, I just really think, like I just have too much peace to like be questioning this. Like, and what that doesn't mean that it's not scary and that kind of stuff. Oh, I did have like an overwhelming sense of peace. And like, let me tell you, so that I left him in July and filed for divorce, the whole 9 yards. Takes forever. And
also even just leaving, that's a huge, incredibly difficult. I can't even imagine what that took.
Yeah. It was wild. And so, but then thank you, Jesus, that I met my amazing now husband, Kevin, really not too long afterwards. We went on our first date like mid-January of like, so like from July to January. But like I said, I was like, everyone gets married so young around here is like everyone's already married.
I'll be the first to admit I was a child bride.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But like, and it's not, when I say that I got married young, it's just kind of like, it's just what you do next. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with getting married young by any means.
I think it's getting married young when you're getting married for the sake of the next thing.
Correct.
It's not the age necessarily. It's the intention. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you've been...
That's a good way to put it.
You've hit a statute of limitations on we can't be dating for any longer because we have been dating for since high school and like we're out of college.
Exactly.
There's just not a timetable on it. So if it's the right person, does it matter? But also if it's the right person, does it matter if you get married now or later? You know, there's all these different things, but I think
100%,
there is a lot of pressure, especially in the religious community, that, you know, that's just the next step in the intention. And sometimes there's not enough emphasis on waiting to make sure it's the right thing. And I also believe, you know, if you know, you know, but it's just, there's a lot of undue pressure. And I've seen a lot of friends go through difficult situations because, like you said, that's just next on the to-do list. So sometimes we don't have our cortex is fully developed.
Correct. Exactly.
So that can lead us to some sticky situations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I think, I mean, of course, there's so much that I want to get into again, but I admire you so much, and I always have, but even after speaking to you here, like I just have such a deep, profound respect for everything you've gone through, and the fact that you do it with a smile on your face, because you do have the right, and no one would fault you for being angry. And the fact that you put so much effort into taking care of yourself and working on your own demons, and just the protection that you've had for yourself over your life and everything you've walked through is incredible. And I hope that you write a book one day. And I hope that you give me a signed copy. I think that your story is beautiful. And the fact that you've taken so many leaps, and it just seems like your testimony is so powerful, but even just your sense of self and the fact that you're not looking to someone else to tell you who you are. And I don't think anyone would have faulted you for not taking, you know, any one of the leaps that you've done, but for wanting to be rescued from your childhood situation versus wanting to stay in it because it's what you know and it's your, you know, your comfortability, to, you know, getting a job at 15, to moving to Africa at 18, to leaving an abusive relationship, entering into a whole new industry a second time, to building this position for yourself. How many major life events can one person go through? And here you are, smiling, well-adjusted. You received the 40 Under 40 award last year. You're all over. You're just everywhere. You are so well involved in the community. You're so philanthropic. There are so many things that I admire about you just on a professional level. But as a person, your attitude and your outlook on life just cannot be topped. And I think that's, I think that you being so accomplished and polished and beautiful, those are the least interesting things about you. Truly. I think that those are the first things that people probably get to know about you. And that's sad, because the more that you've spoken, just the more questions that I have, and the more I want to talk about it. But I just am so happy that I got to know you.
Yeah. Thanks, friend.
Do you have any parting words or any advice for people who may be in a difficult situation, being that you've walked through just about every variety that there are?
Yeah. I mean, I think it would just like reiterating that, like, every single step and every single season happens for a reason. And it might be really, really freaking hard right now, but in the next, when you turn that page and you go into a new chapter, or you go into the next series of that book, like, you're going to look back and it's all, you know, we could go booky nerdy, and it's character development. You know what I mean? And it's it's hard, and sometimes it's hard to see the end of the light or the end of the tunnel and that kind of stuff. But I mean, as long as you put your big girl panties on and you pull your britches up and you get going, it'll be worth it. You know, just because it happened to you does not mean that has to become you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about your favorite stores that you shop at, but it feels so trivial now. But do you want to give a couple shout outs to where you like to shop, where you like to get clothes? Because I think people will have questions. You look fantastic.
Oh, thank you. We were talking about this earlier, how we hate spending money on clothes.
Yep.
I am, and I think a little bit of it is me just growing up with literally no money, that I am the biggest bargain hunter this side of the Mississippi.
You know, I keep half in business.
Oh, I love a good clearance rack.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people are like, where do you
Make
shop?
a beeline.
And I'm like, every single clearance rack this side of the Mississippi, like, I go to websites and I hit the sale tab.
Yes.
Like, I'm not looking for full price things.
To a T. So, I never will walk into a store and browse. I'm like looking for the yellow, like, where's the banner? Where's the big red sale sign?
Even when I go to Stacks, like, I obviously
love Stacks.
The girls at Stacks. Like, sometimes I go just for a hug.
Yes.
Like, sometimes I go for clothes. Sometimes I go for a hug.
Right.
But like, I literally, and it's so funny because whatever. I am a price tag shopper.
Yeah,
and
me
so
too.
like
is it cute for the price? It's not just, is it cute?
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, for $40, sure, I could do that.
See, I wasn't even born in like the 50s, and I still think that prices should be what they were. I'm like, jeans should be $8.
Yeah. Yeah.
What am I talking about?
Yeah. But you can get a pair of $8 jeans on a good clearance rack.
You can get them for $1 at a garage sale, girl.
Also a garage sale.
Which is, I've been known to shop for things that don't even fit me, because I'm like, I shop for the price tag, not the size
Literally.
tag. And I have shoes that range from 7 to 9. Pants, don't even know what size I am because I just be buying.
One of my coworkers is a seamstress, which is so handy because she can just pin me up in the bathroom at work.
Yep.
But the other day, I got a top on clearance at Uptown, and I was like, it's a large. It's way too big. But Crystal can just pop the seam out and sew it back together.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy
peasy.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also nice to hear because you have amazing style and to know,
thanks,
just to have the affirmation. It's not always
Amazon.
ASOS, Zara.
Oh, no.
Which I do love. These shoes are from Urban Outfitters, but
Which
I got them on major sale.
I love those
sale.
on you. And like Janet's like a big Valley flat girly.
I love them. We were both wearing them to the last meeting that we both had, and I felt very validated.
I just, I love that for you guys.
Thank you.
You look so cute. I can never.
I can't really wear them with anything that's not like a baggy pant though, because I feel like I look a little like a toddler attending it.
Well, and then the next thing is that what did we used to like? What was in when ballet flats were in last? Was it like the skinny
yes
capris and then like the tops from Aeropostale, like the tank tops that were like tight here and then like
peplum?
Yes.
Yeah. Someone said peplum was coming back in, and I was like,
absolutely not.
I don't know about all that.
I know when Janet told me that ballet flats are back in, because I think a couple months ago.
I do love ballet flats. I love them. I've always loved them.
I love them on other people, but then I just I just can't do it on me.
It depends, because some of the trends don't look good on me.
Yeah, and I'm like, Godspeed. Like, I love that those are in. I was like, I love that works for you, but that will not work for me.
Proud to say that 99% of trends that I come across, I'm like, that just wouldn't look cute on me. It's just not going to work.
Sometimes, just being blissfully aware of your body type and your limitations.
Exactly.
And like, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. And that's why I say I'm just perpetually kind of out of style. And that means that I'm never really out of style.
Yeah,
because I was never in style.
Exactly.
Just kind of adjacent to all of that.
Yeah.
Every so often a trend will like exit orbit and like hit my little solar system, but that's really about it. So
that's hilarious.
Well, I have had the best time talking to you. I know that you have so much to get to, and I would love to have you back on at some point to just dive further into all of this. But I'll tag all of your socials so people can find you and keep up with you. I think that you are just remarkable, and I adore you.
Love you, friend.
Thank you. I love you so much. I appreciate you coming on, and we will talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.